Welcome back to our Captivating Woman podcast. I am Keisha, and I am here with...
Hey everyone, this is Takira, aka T.
Hey everyone, this is Shari.
And my name is April. We have a very special guest today, and I am super excited that he is here. His name is Mike Awugu, aka Wugu Winning. Okay, you guys can definitely check Mike out at Wugu Winning on Instagram. Just a little bit about Mike. I want you guys to have a little bit of knowledge about him. He has been married for 5 years to his beautiful wife. Okay, who is here.
So supportive.
Very supportive. He is owner of a Quality Trotter Travel Goods, and it's called Embargo. Okay, he's multilingual, y'all. He speaks Spanish, English, Portuguese, French, Mandarin.
Mike, what language don't you speak?
Mike is not only an entrepreneur, but he is a doer. Okay, China's sourcing secret. We are only one secret away.
Yes.
I mean, not secret, y'all, but source.
I feel like he needs a round of applause.
Okay.
You ladies are too kind. Thank you. I'll pay you after the show. Thank you.
We accept donations.
Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
We have an exciting topic, and it's great to have a knowledgeable male perspective. So I'll turn it over to April so she can introduce the topic for us today.
All right. So guys, today we are talking about submission.
Hey.
That's a good one.
Submission. I want to just open up the topic just by quickly going over some hot topics that we want to discuss. And we want to introduce one, and then we'll go into the topic. We'll go into the definition, and then we're going to just have a free-for-all conversation. On the topic of submission, specifically within intimate romantic relationships.
Okay.
So earlier this week, I saw a video clip on Instagram, and it was of, I believe, K. Michelle. She's an R&B singer, her podcast, and she had Derek Jackson on her podcast, who's like a love guru on a relationship guru on Instagram as well. And they were talking about this topic because another singer, Fantasia, went on to say on the Breakfast Club, I believe, or another, I don't remember, radio station, to say that she believes in submission in the traditional sense of the word, where the man is the head of the household, and he makes the bulk of the decisions and or has the final say, and then the wife will follow after that. She's submitting to his leadership. K. Michelle was not having it.
She was not.
She was like, I'm not submitting to a thing.
But to my bag.
Yeah, to my bag. And the wall the bricks that she built to the wall, and then he has to climb over it. It was a lot. But hearing the feedback from Derek Jackson about how she's building up a wall around herself, and it's covering her from people in general, and that wall is built up with pain. So that was a topic this is a launch pad for what we want to kind of go into.
Say a good man does come along. Is that mentality going to attract him and make him want to stay around?
Well, who cares what attracts him? That's not what it's about for me in my life. I pay my own bills right now.
Well, you're going to continue.
So when you pay your own bills, you're gonna think about love differently. So if a man is not willing to show and prove who he is, he's not for me. I'll put up this wall, and if you're not going to climb it, then you need to stay on the other side of it. I'm going to speak and say how I feel. This submission stuff with Fantasia, I'm not submitting to nothing but my bag and my kids and my career. I will submit. There is no submission without a mission. There has to be a mission. These men don't have missions.
You have absolutely no obligation to submit or do anything, but you would be wise to be consistent in what it is that you want. Do you really want a healthy relationship with a man that is good? Okay. If that's the case, then you have to create a welcoming space for that. And what you're talking about is not welcoming.
But I know that you have some statistics.
I do. There actually was a study and the study was called Married Black Men's Opinion as to Why Black Women Are Disproportionately Single, a qualitative study. And this was by Hertz, McElroy, and Bryant. And what it stated was that 7 out of 10 Black women are unmarried. and 3 out of 10 may never marry. Thus, the disproportionate number of Black women who are single has been well documented.
Wait, may never marry.
May never
What is that? Wait,
my goodness.
are they
Girl, I don't even know.
Are they still here?
I'm gonna, you know,
How do they know?
I'm gonna put the link down, girl, so you guys can read the whole study. It was quite
But
fascinating.
how do they know that? Like,
Girl, shh.
Y'all might have to double up.
all right, Nipsey.
I'm not accepting that prophecy.
I am not either, girl.
Double up.
But wait, it went on to further say that they have noted that Black women are frequently provided with conflicting messages about intimate relationships by not only their elders and their families, but communities. And one of those messages one is a message of independence. For example, God bless the child who has her own, with the implication that Black men cannot be trusted to stay with and provide for women. The other is the message that a woman's utmost goal is to find a Black man who will take care of her. These contradictory statements, it says, have created a situation in which either women do not form lasting intimate relationships with men or women, or women experience difficulties in their intimate ties. So then that, for me, brought straight down to the question of what is submission? How are we defining submission? I mean, what are you ladies' thoughts? I can give you what the dictionary said and everything, but what do you guys, when you think about the word submission, and Mike, for you too, as a man, what does that mean?
Ooh.
I'll be the gentleman and let the ladies go first.
Yeah. Gather your thoughts. Shar, do you want to tackle it first?
Sure. Wow, it's a pretty deep subject, and even the concept of K. Michelle and her outlook. I think a lot of women really feel that way because submission has definitely had a negative connotation in definitely in the African American community, and so I guess for me, submission is basically choosing to come under someone else's mission. And so submission, coming under someone's mission. And in this case, I would only submit to my husband. That would be the only person that I feel that I can come under. So for me, submission is choosing to come under my husband's mission for our family. So that would be my general definition.
And that actually is not far from what I looked up. Several definitions of submission on the internet and in dictionaries, and the one that I went ahead and went with was the one according to Oxford, and what it says is it's the action or fact of accepting or yielding to a superior force or to the will or authority of another person. And then of course you guys know we have the biblical definition, and we always want to make sure that we put that in there. And it says in Ephesians 5:22 through 23, it says, "Wives, submit yourself to your own husband as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior." So I just want to raise the question, guys. Is there a place for submission in today's modern relationships?
Girl, my brain was going a mile a minute thinking about all this stuff. I was like, ding, 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 ding. I mean, the more that I hear like studies like that, and the more that I, have become evolved in like how I think in as far as like my spirituality, I feel like women were a little misfed. Like when you were reading the stats of that, we're misfed some information that is detrimental to us. That's what that stat is basically telling me. Like, because we've been told this, we've adopted these views and taken on this position that has made it very difficult to be in a relationship because we've been fed. It's become action. It's become part of us. So, and then like hearing coming under someone else's mission, it's like, okay, I can get with that, but I do have to make sure that that mission is in alignment with mine. Like I need a voice too, I need some collaboration. I can't just be going around. What about my relationship with God and the things that I'm hearing and the input that I might have in us making some really important decisions for our family? So when I think about submission, I think it's a two-way street.
I would say when I think about submission, I feel like in a relationship, somebody is going to submit to someone. whether that is the woman or the man, somebody is going to naturally have to come under, that quote unquote mission. From my perspective, I do not believe I could be with a man who would want to submit to me. To me, I look at that man as being the leader of our relationship, obviously in the context of a marriage or a relationship that's headed to marriage. So I think from my perspective, I would almost see that man as a little bit less masculine or less of a man if he is looking to me.
But let me. But on everything though, what if
not
you
on
know
everything
more in that particular area?
Yeah, I think in that case, I think that I think when I think of submission, I think of it in general.
Okay.
Like if I'm in a relationship with a man, essentially for me, what I'm saying is I am willing to submit under you. And I don't like the way to say under, but that's kind of really what it is. I don't think that means that we are going to agree on every single thing. I don't think that it means that he's telling me what to do. I think that it is a decision that I'm looking to him as a lead.
What do you think?
You're right. I want a male perspective. Yeah.
So can you ladies, quote unquote, submit to a man if you guys' bag is bigger than his? If you make more money.
We're right for the jugular.
That's always the question.
Like, why is that the first question? Okay, so that means that
that's a good question.
So that means that my ability to like glean income for the family is stronger in this area. I would hope that he would be stronger in another area then. Maybe his ability to like plan, where we'll make our moves and our investments is stronger than me. So
which I think you see. I think you see that a lot too. Like for instance, with pastors or ministers, you'll see that they have the authority over a congregation, and that is what gives them power and a source of feeling like they're the man. While they might be married to a doctor who is clearly bringing the bank, but there's that exchange of power versus the purse. If you will.
So of course I could submit. Because we're going to be submit. I think that's where the equality comes from.
What if he's trying to tell you what you can spend and not spend your money on?
Okay, then that becomes like more self-awareness for me. Because if it's like I have an issue with budgeting and he's noticing that I'm doing things in excessive, okay. But if like it's not an issue and I don't have an issue with budgeting, then that's going to be a conversation.
Yeah, you're making more money than him, but he's telling you.
I would hope that he would be a mirror and identifying what areas of growth for me instead of just trying to limit me.
Well, I would actually say that, first of all, I had this conversation over Thanksgiving dinner this year.
Sounds like a
fresh in your head.
A great dinner combo.
It came up, and this actual question came up about the money and submitting under a man or whatnot. And I think the reality is you guys are kind of saying the same thing. It is difficult, just period. I don't care if you're making more money than someone else or not. You coming into a relationship in the context of quote unquote marriage, it's going to be difficult allowing anyone to have an opinion over your money, even if you're not making as much.
I can see that.
I think that really what you're looking at is his mission over, if you're deciding to submit under him, especially within the context of money, as Mike brought up, his mission over the whole household. Like he's not just looking at your shoe account and saying, hey, you need to stop. But what is the mission for the whole house? Do we have goals? What are we trying to do with this money?
Exactly.
Are you just trying to control my money, or do we have an actual
That's
mission? So I think that's really what you're saying, and that was actually stated in the conversation. I think an older couple who's been married for 35 years, and they mentioned that what they do is they have their own account, whereas each person has their own personal account that they take out of the joint, and they have up to a certain amount that they can spend without asking each other, like what was being spent out of the joint account.
I had a coworker that did that too.
Right, and so they're saying that after the first couple years of going back and forth, they were like, that works for them. They know exactly how much they can spend without coming to the other person and saying, hey, I spent more than this X amount in the account. We need to have a discussion about if I should buy this particular item or not. So I think it's just having that conversation. I think what works for you as a unit, as a family, in a mission standpoint is what's important. What is your mission as a family? Are you guys trying to own 10 apartment buildings? Well, if that's the case, you might not can spend $1,000 a month on shoes. You might have to cut it down a little bit because you got to do these down payments. I don't know, but whatever your mission is, that's what you're looking to him to ensure that we as a family, as a unit, continue in that direction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what I'm getting from all of you guys is that you feel like submission is important and someone is submitting to someone. And so then my question would be, is it typically the woman that's primarily doing the submitting?
Mike, I need to hear.
Okay. Well, I think there's certain roles. Men and women are, they have their roles. And when they have a relationship, it's complementary.
Mike, I want to stop you right there. When you say roles, let's break that down. Because,
we're in
2020. I'm like, are you saying you wash the dishes?
Right. Who has what role?
Right. And how does that come about?
Okay.
The pressure.
As a rule of thumb, I think
that's a rule of thumb.
The man goes out and expands the borders.
Okay.
The woman manifests within those borders.
Okay. That's a very pretty
picture. He said that really nicely.
I want you to break that down.
And the woman is nurturing.
Right.
Working and nurturing.
Okay.
Men are electric, women are magnetic.
Okay. That was nice.
The man shoots for the stars. The woman builds here on earth.
Okay. All right. He liked Wu-Tang as a kid, so he's going to come up with all these analogies.
I'm like, break it down. Break it all the way down.
So, I think for we can look at let's look at successful groups of people around the world.
Okay.
Another principle: happy wife, happy life.
Okay.
If the man could be upset, cranky in the home, but when the wife or mother's upset, cranky in the home's not right.
So then that means that you're submitting to her and her needs?
That's what I'm hearing.
A wise man said.
Are you the wise man?
He said, I'm going to give her all her needs, half of her wants.
Oh, okay. Because the wise man has identified exactly what she's.
I'm going to give her all her needs, half her wants.
Okay. All right.
Have you ever been in a relationship where you've had to submit to a woman?
Well, I've been in relationships where the women try to get me to submit.
That's real. That's real.
How did that go?
They try to boss. Oh. I think women innately will try to boss.
Wait, and let's tie this back to the statistic earlier. Yes. Is it African American women or Black women that you're noticing this? Because
because you've been all over.
You've been a lot of places, seen a lot of faces.
In the world. Been all over in the world.
Been around the world.
I'm saying you travel. Let's clean it all the way up. Wait, let me clarify. Mike is extremely well traveled.
Yeah.
Okay, his wife is sitting right here. But we're just saying, in being well traveled, you come across you come across multiple cultures,
right?
And with cultures comes different types of women.
Yes.
Or maybe not. I guess that's the question.
Yeah.
Do you see a difference across cultures?
Yeah.
What have you observed?
I think universally women will have inklings to kind of be bossy. Inklings.
All cultures and
a little salt.
They want to be bossy. But I think some groups allow that inkling to get away from them a little more than others.
What group is that?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too.
Who are you talking about here?
Well, as you guys were,
all of us got our heads cocked.
I'll say this. I think there's propaganda.
Okay.
Put on certain groups more than others.
And where's the prop and the ganda?
Well, let's just talk about one of the new hot movies that's out right now, Queen and Slim.
Okay.
Was she bossy? Was her mouth reckless that first date? I don't want to give spoilers. Go see the movie. Don't.
Wait. So you're saying that she struggled with submission?
Well, I'm saying that if you would have put her body on him and his body on her, the movie would have made a lot more sense.
Okay.
Yes. I think and I think that's not a realistic painting of a picture. I don't think that, they were, the actors are portraying a African American
narrative
couple.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that's like typical. But I think that propaganda is sprayed.
Okay.
I think there's some truth to it, though, in all honesty.
Okay.
Because, and the reason that I say that is I think that sometimes when I look, and this is not based upon any statistics, let me just make that clear.
This is your own personal observation.
I think that sometimes Black women have been conditioned to survival mode. Even if we go all the way back to slavery, a lot of times families were separated. And I think in that, there has been this constant perpetual cycle of survival. Now our men are incarcerated. So I think it does create a certain level of independence that sometimes makes it difficult when we do get into intimate relationships to dial back because we've been so conditioned to providing for ourselves and to figuring it out.
Right.
And so
and Black women historically have been touted as being what? Strong, right?
Yeah.
And
Too strong.
Propaganda.
And strong to a lot of people is almost the antithesis of submission.
Of soft.
Right?
Of soft, ladylike, demure. I think it's propaganda. I do, and I think what happens is the propaganda, and as April said, it is the conditioning, but I think the propaganda and the conditioning, it has worked. But I don't want to say that's all. I want to say that the propaganda works.
I agree.
Okay.
To some extent.
As you said, we hear she's strong Black woman. We don't hear that beautiful.
Yeah.
You don't hear that. And then a lot of times the sister will get caught up. They like that, adjective of strong versus,
Because you think weak.
Right.
It's the opposite.
Right.
And I want to be like a man. He could do it. I want to do it. Not knowing that we're made up differently. We have different chemicals.
And I wonder
which influence our hormones and which influence who we are and how we manifest. And our secret powers.
Yeah.
Women, you got some secret powers.
Yeah.
The softness, I'm going to give a little bit of the game. The softness is how you actually get a guy to quote unquote submit.
Yeah.
And you know what? I
not with the
hear
strength.
you.
That's good.
Not with the flesh.
That's a good takeaway.
And when I think about a statistic that you read, and I think about like the language and the mindset that has been passed down, right? That is keeping us like kind of in this box. Also the mindset of hearing. And I think about my own childhood. I was told more that I was smart and strong than I was beautiful. I remember the compliments from my family being more like, you're smart, you're strong, you can do this and that, more than you're beautiful. You're
so they encouraged what they wanted to promote.
Yes. So I can see how the mindset is passed down and how you just do embody what you're told,
Which brings me right to
I think.
Oh, go ahead, Char. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna agree. I just went to a conference this past week, and that's exactly what this woman told me. She's an older woman. She's 70, retired, and it was a group of older ladies. The average age was probably 60, and they looked at me. They never said I was beautiful. They were like, "You're strong. You're going to be a leader." They said all of those things. But what was really interesting, when my husband walked up and stood next to me, then they said to him, "Your wife is beautiful." And so I don't even know what that dynamic is. Mike, maybe you can help that out, because I really was confused. I was like,
why did they?
Think I'm beautiful?
That's interesting. I'm thinking about.
Sorry,
it from
do
a
you feel like
psychological
your
perspective.
demeanor changed a little bit when he came next to you?
Like, did you get softer?
And you physically softened?
I don't. That's a good question. I don't know. I had been in so many different. I guess they saw so many types of me. They saw me. They told me that when they first met me, they felt like I was unapproachable, and all of those things. Really, I was just quiet because I didn't know anyone. But they took it as unapproachable. Then when they got to know me, I was extremely I was laughing and getting to know people. But they didn't really warm up to me until my husband walked in, and it wasn't even that my demeanor. I don't think he was there long enough for them to even see the demeanor change.
Mike is chomping at the bits. Go ahead.
I have some questions. So
they were just like,
what was the cultural background? Like, paint the picture of these people.
They were all African American, older women, married.
Okay.
So, and they like I said, they never mentioned my beauty at all. But when he came, they said that to him, like, "Oh, your wife is beautiful. You guys are such a beautiful couple." I'm like, "You never
said that to me."
If you didn't come, you would have never told me this.
I think
so. It made me question what they really, if they really felt that way or not. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think when people can say the same thing, I think it comes with a different context and different meaning. They might have been saying that as a kind of like a camaraderie thing, or really like they might have really meant that, congratulating you. We all know this. We all know that fat Oprah was liked better than skinny Oprah.
Okay, yeah, that's legit.
So he's trying to ask you if those ladies were overweight.
No. The public, the dominant society does not like beautiful melanated people on the screen or in places of leadership. We've seen it when we have newscasters who look kind of good.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's a threat.
It's too much.
So I want to know who was saying,
Yeah.
Okay, so I think if it was, people like who look like your mom, they might have really, been maybe congratulating you on what they saw.
Yeah.
And congratulating you on the fact that you are manifesting these strong, quote unquote, leadership qualities and managed to walk away with that with the man.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be it too.
What is that supposed to mean?
Well, no, what I mean by that is going back. No.
Wait a minute.
What I meant by that is going back to that quote that April kind of started off with, saying, the statistics of Black women and how we are, bred to be independent, strong. So sometimes when people see a woman who seems to be visibly very strong and in a lead, like a strong leader, they feel like they might have a harder time to submit to someone.
Well, I think I was reading an article, and forgive me, I'll get the details on it and put it below when we post the podcast. But it was talking about how society has structured, how society has really moved to shape women, and what they came up with was, they've really moved towards women keeping their guard up, women wearing masks instead of being willing to be vulnerable and open and bring all that down. They also talked about, women oftentimes are like steel in the face of conflict. And so when you look at that, it's the complete opposite of how we view femininity. You know what I mean? And so it's actually taking on more of the characteristics of a male.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's why I want to kind of ask the question, what is the correlation between femininity and the ability to submit? And is there a correlation?
Well, I'm going to tell a funny story.
Okay. Hit us.
I developed, I'm not sure if they were bad habits, but my first international trip by myself to Costa Rica.
Okay.
I was there, and I remember there was a girl who wanted me to come and visit her, and I got to the house, and she said, "Are you hungry?" I'm like, I could eat. She goes out to the neighbor's house and borrows some fish
Borrows fish.
Borrows from the neighbor.
Hopefully not giving it back.
Okay.
Goes and cooks it, and then had some like rice and beans and salad, and I'm eating it, and she's watching me eat it with intent, like she's like just watching me. Is it good? I'm like, yeah. So I'm there for 2 months.
Wait.
No, not at her house. I'm for 2 months.
Okay.
I was like,
it was
hanging
that
out
good.
there.
I'm there for
Where
2
did she
months.
get this fish?
I come back. I go to potluck at my Bez's house, and I'm eating in. I've been there for 2 months, just living. I finished my plate, and I forget who was going to the kitchen. It was some girl was going to the kitchen. I just handed her my plate to take for me to the kitchen, and I caught myself. I didn't realize what it was just that was how the culture was. And I think it was Jesse was like, Mike, what are you doing?
He's like, you're back in the States.
Right, to a lady to take to the kitchen. That plate would have fell and shattered on the floor.
I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that plate?
It's just a funny story to show. I don't think roles are changing. Some people eat out, and not everyone cooks.
But that's interesting that you say that there's this agenda being pushed about women taking on a little bit more masculine roles. But do you think that the reverse is true? Because I'm seeing more material coming out about men being more in touch with their feelings and men not, being ashamed to be vulnerable and opening up. So do you think that's an agenda being pushed from both sides, or it's maybe just promoting a more,
I don't know.
Equal,
Fluid.
I like to consider myself a classy man. I like to open doors. I get pride from opening doors. I get pride from carrying the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
When I hear a bump late at night, checking the door. You
don't push your wife out of bed.
No, I see what's going on. Standing in front of her if there's a threat.
Yeah, I like that.
We were in Vegas one time. And we were at some concert, and some guy was kind of drunk, kind of sloshy, and rolled up on her and trying to plant a kiss on her. And I had to.
Did you bring it? Now tell them about your the ways you can defend yourself.
Okay, that's true.
I had to.
No, tell
don't
them
let
what
the
you
bow tie
have.
fool you.
Tell them what you have. Tell them about the belts that you have.
Okay, right.
Oh well, I like to dabble in the martial arts every now and then.
Okay.
Every now and then.
So the hands are weaponized. So his wife was very well protected.
But contrary, I had to show her a few years before, and she didn't understand. We were also at a night spot, and as it got later, there was a guy, older gentleman, who was kind of pestering a younger girl in the spot, and he kept trying to get up closer, and she would kind of like bat him away. Now, she wouldn't remove herself from where he was. And I think he kind of like was grabbing on her upper arm. And my wife tried to put her hand on his arm. And I had to, now we were dating at the time, I had to pull her and say, hey, don't you put your hand on another man. She didn't understand. She was like, how could you like yank me and like yell at me like that? She didn't know what kind of danger she was in. He could have. I'm in France. I'm not in my backyard. He could have easily swung his elbow back, hit her in the mouth, knocked out some teeth, backhanded.
Dang,
what would I have to do?
Yeah.
So
snap his neck.
So
teeth are falling.
That's real important.
Society has lied to women, thinking that they are, equal. You are complementary. It's a puzzle piece. You're not the same.
Snapped a few back.
I know, in this Me Too feminist movement.
You stepped on a nerve on mine.
Yeah.
So I know that you snapped
What you have to say about that?
So I had to let her know. So she saw later, okay, I understand what can happen. My other good friend, he's in New York, all right, waiting for taxis. And a guy went upstream, he kind of cut in the line. And his wife said, excuse me, you just cut in front of, my friend had to yank his wife's collar, elbow and say, hey, can you not say that?
Because I'm going to have to fight.
Yeah, you don't want to,
He's like, you're going to get me into some stuff.
But it's true. I've been in a similar situation where literally I felt like someone told me to get in the car. And I looked at that person like they were plumb full.
Yeah.
A stranger?
No, somebody
A
I
man.
know.
She's talking about a man.
Yeah, told me to get in the car, and I felt
With
like
some bass in his voice.
With some bass, girl. I'm like, hold up.
You know what? Well, listen, I am that person too. That if I'm in a crowded place and one person is running, I'm running with them.
Oh yeah,
so
for sure.
I can trust somebody's sense of danger. So if somebody is telling me something and it's not like, we're just walking and he's trying to just manhandle me, get in the car, or he's like, I feel like he's saying get in the car for a reason.
But I didn't feel a reason. That was the
Okay.
problem. I didn't feel a reason. But like what Mike was saying, I wasn't privy to everything that was going on.
So what did you do in that situation?
Did you submit?
You got yourself in the car. Hey, let me take myself in this car now.
You got in the car. With an attitude. I got in with an attitude. I didn't get in happily.
Oh man. So I just say that to say I feel what you're saying. I hear you. We hear you.
That is too funny.
Right. But I think that is interesting because that's basically what we're talking about. Like, if a man tells you, using your example, April, if a man is a friend of yours, whether it's your man or just someone that you trust and you're out with, tells you with some bass in their voice to get in the car, are you just going to do it, which is a form of submission?
That's true.
Hopefully, I would have heard his bass in the voice. I would have heard it before, so I knew how to distinguish it.
The problem is when you don't see anything. I
Yeah.
think sometimes that's a prime example. When you don't see anything that's
where
appears,
trust.
Then I'm just going to have to trust
comes
his,
in.
that's where the trust comes
Right.
in. That's
sensing
where the
out the
trust-
danger.
Exactly.
But that is,
Yeah.
but that's exactly what submission is. I think that is the prime example
And
of
you know what it
submission.
is?
It's sometimes you don't see what they see.
Yes.
And so you have to trust what they say because you're choosing to submit under what they're saying. Even if it's like, even if your body is saying, why in the world are you telling me to do X, Y, and Z?
Right.
Why are you telling me to get in the car? I don't see the danger. You don't need to see the danger. You need to trust that they have your best interest at heart. So I think that is I think you gave the perfect example, whether you realize it or not, of submission. And that, sometimes as a woman, you don't want to submit, or you don't understand why you need to, or it doesn't make sense or whatnot, but you trust that they see something that you don't see.
You trust the overall intent of the person that, and that, I guess it goes back to make sure that you know who you submit to.
Okay.
Yes.
Make sure that you're
That's
picking
key.
the right person to submit to.
That's right.
key.
And that you see them in different aspects of their personality. You see them in all seasons of their moods.
Right.
So you know how they handle things, so that when he says, get in the car,
We like listen, right?
you just hop right in there.
Ask questions later.
But you said, Keisha, that is, it has to be the right person.
It does.
Yeah.
It
You
does.
just can't be submitting to
No.
little Ray Ray.
No.
No.
Or anyone that's abusive. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. That's important.
Absolutely.
That's the key thing. I think a lot of times women won't choose the right person.
So the vetting.
The vetting is off. So you have experience that's not ideal, and to actually self-persevere, you can't submit to someone who's not the right one.
Yeah.
In that area.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think there's an extreme fear with women in this day and age with submitting and losing their sense of identity. And so I kind of want to quickly touch on that before we wrap up. With submission, is submission the loss of a woman or a man's individuality or who they are? Can those lines get blurred?
I think they should in marriage. Like, I think they should to a certain extent, as far as now the mission becomes ours and we're moving forward and creating, our legacy together. But I think that as an individual, there's things that you need to do to like make sure that you're always in optimal, condition and that you're healthy and that, your needs are being met within the role and the direction of the marriage.
Yeah. I think that you should always still maintain your own individuality. Submission is not, I shut up and do as you say. I think it goes back to something that Keisha may have said before. It's nothing wrong with having a conversation. It's nothing wrong with having a conversation or a discussion regarding that particular area.
Yes.
But then at the end of it, knowing that you may not agree, but somebody has to walk away, you know, submitting to whatever that thing is, so that for the sake of unity within the home.
Okay, now I have a question. Can you guys submit to, there was the topic was raised earlier, being in touch with both sides?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
You know, men who are more in touch with their feminine side.
So what are you talking? Is he
So
flamboyant, or is
can
he?
you submit to a man who's more in touch with his feminine side than, let's say, the?
But when you say feminine side, what are you talking
Yeah,
about? What qualities are you
Are we
talking
talking
about?
about his emotional?
Crying.
I don't know. 'Cause my feminine side is my wife,
Okay.
so I don't know.
Okay, but there are parts of your personality that you do have feminine traits, such as your ability to nurture your children. When you're around your kids, there's a part of you that comes out. I think we're all beings
We're
are
emotional. We're
masculine
emotional
and
creatures.
feminine.
Yeah.
We have those abilities in us.
Yeah, but my wife's better at the nurturing.
Okay.
Okay.
But
naturally.
Are you talking about a man that's overly
Well,
emotional, that's crying at the drop of a hat,
I
or
don't know. I just heard Billy D. Williams referred himself as
no?
himself and
He
herself.
came out and he said, "What the?" He said that he didn't say
He was
that.
confused. He did.
He said, "I'm old." He said what? He said exactly what I was saying. That he believes that he's more in touch with his the feminine aspects of
Was this
himself.
recently?
It
'Cause
was.
I missed this.
Girl, it was.
But they said he was transgendered.
They were trying to figure out
What did
if he had been closeted. Girl, they were trying to figure out a whole bunch
They
of
said
stuff.
some fancy new age word, and he was like,
I gotta look this up. I don't know about. I haven't heard this one.
Yeah.
So
So what happened?
well,
Oh,
I
Billy
think
D.
it's on the eve of this new movie coming out that I think he's in.
Oh, okay.
And he was asked what I think they brought up his character in the Solo movie. You guys see the Solo movie with Childish Gambino,
I haven't seen it.
Donald Glover? So he plays a young Lando Calrissian.
Okay.
So remember, we all saw Lando Calrissian in the old Star Wars, and he was kind of like player, kind of smooth and debonair,
Okay.
kind of a heartthrob for the ladies.
Okay.
Now, the new guy, Daniel Glover, plays young Lando, and he is said to be his character in the movie a pansexual.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
he has a little bit of a fling with a robot, and so I think they asked Billy D. Williams, "Hey, so what do you think about Daniel Glover also saying that he is in touch with his something like that? Like so I think that's great. I think he's really smart." And then that's how it went.
Well, that's nice.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I personally think that it's really a balance type of thing. Honestly, like what you said, we all have certain emotions that are expressed at certain times in our lives. So saying someone is in touch with their feminine side, I think is the very opposite of saying that a female is in touch with their masculine side. I think we're all just human, and sometimes a man, and I'm pretty sure, well, I don't want to say that, but let me just say a man at times, no, as I was going to call you out, but
Go in.
I'm sure that every man has, expressed their emotions to the woman they trust. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
So,
But is that a
think
feminine trait?
And I
It's
appreciate
that
that.
would be
I think that's extremely
considered-
healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but that's considered his being in touch with his quote unquote feminine side. And I'm like, is that just
I just think we need to do away with some of these labels. I think that
Being
it's
vulnerable
caused a
happens.
lot of distress, as we can see over time, with men not being able to express themselves in a healthy way, and they taking on some of these toxic masculinity traits, and then women now we're being a little bit too masculine. I think we just need to do away with the labels and just promote balance. You know?
That you brought up a really, really good topic. Toxic masculinity. What does that mean? Toxic masculinity. What does that mean?
We got
digress, and that's our next podcast.
We'll
That
bring
might
you
be
back for
another
part 2.
topic.
Part 2 with you. Okay.
Toxic masculinity. Y'all stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think this has been a good conversation on submission.
Yeah.
I want to kind of gather up some takeaways.
Yeah.
On the topic. Does anybody have any strong takeaways from the topic of submission?
Parting words.
Okay, well, I like to let people know. I think the man goes and expands the borders. The woman goes and builds inside those borders. And that's what you guys do. You guys have offspring. You know, you guys actually build something. And
with your help,
yeah,
of course, you know, with our input.
Okay.
No. I don't want your input. No, I don't want your input.
Literally.
Okay, after your input, and when we have the output, I need you to have all hands on deck.
No.
And I need you to be emotionally there and physically there. That's not going to be the bulk of the responsibility on me.
No, we're there.
Okay.
You know, but
He's filtering.
Yes, you are.
Don't filter, Mike. Don't filter. Just let it out.
Filter. Okay,
Just let it out.
I think the woman has, you know, one of the most important roles as far as the family.
No, you do too.
We do.
No,
Keith,
you
let
have
him finish.
equal
Keith.
roles.
Yeah, what is?
Go
Let
ahead.
him
We do.
finish.
Okay.
We do. I think there's a Chinese word for peace or good. I forget what it is. How the word for how is a symbol of a boy and a girl.
Okay.
That's the right. A boy and a girl means how, which is good. But there's I think home or good or something or peace is the symbol, or happy. I forget what it is, but it's a symbol of a house with a window and a woman inside. Because a home without a woman inside is a vacant shell. The man can expand the borders all they want, but it doesn't become, there's no life without the woman inside. So it's a you know, it's a different role. Both are needed, you know.
Yeah, they are both needed.
And the man is, if he's on his game, he is the frame or the roof, you know, of the house, the pillars.
Protection.
But the woman is all the nice, soft,
Okay.
wonderful things inside. And the kids early on literally need the mom to survive. As they grow, I mean, when they're young, but as they're growing older, you know, the dad, especially for the sons, is the one that gives them that shape. Shape up and shape, you know.
Okay.
So, you know, it's both people. I would say this. The wise men, you know, will recognize the strengths, and hopefully they chose a woman to build with who has some strengths, and they will, you know, a wise person leans on the leverage of someone else. So if that person is better than them in something, a wise person is gonna,
that exchange of submission. Yes.
And
that's partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a wise woman won't throw it in her, won't throw a man's L's in his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful.
That's true.
She won't have a reckless mouth.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's harder done than said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would say my takeaway is submission does not mean that you are a doormat. And then also submission is, and I just lost my thought there.
That's okay.
That's okay.
That
can't think
doormat.
of
You
it
want to
right
talk about that
now.
doormat some more?
Yeah.
It's not a doormat. Okay, I got to come back to it. I just left.
Yeah.
All right, and my takeaway would be that when you submit, you are not necessarily submitting to a person in marriage; you're submitting to a mission. So understanding that it's bigger than that person. You know, it's for the entire family. So that would be my takeaway.
Okay, I got it. It's trust.
Came back.
I came back. I had to think about it. Trust. You cannot submit. I think a woman would have a hard time, or even maybe a man too, submitting to someone who they could not trust. So it would behoove you as a woman or a man to make sure you link up with somebody who you can trust in that relationship.
Yeah. That was beautiful.
I have a question, ladies.
Another one.
When you guys get into a disagreement with a man, let's say if you're with your husband or significant other, would you throw as a way to justify your claim, would you throw your degrees in his face? Like, well, I actually am certified, or
no.
You're driving a truck and I'm seeing clients. No. Okay, I'm just asking because many of them do.
Okay.
Yeah, I was watching the Angela Yee show.
Okay.
And they were speaking about how they are going to do everything that a man can do, and there's no submission.
I'll have a moment of honesty. It has come up before, but it was in a conversation pertaining to something in mental health. So I felt like in that conversation, I had a little bit more information to provide that was based on like facts that I could say. So it wasn't the degrees per se, it was just the experience and the knowledge. So I didn't say I have this degree, it was just more, I think that I have a little bit more information on this topic. And I said it exactly like that because I didn't want to say it any other way because it's true. And just like how they have had more information on other topics than I have. So, and I've had to, say you got this.
Yeah, I think how you say it is really important.
Yeah, it's important too, Where
it's saying, it's not like you're throwing it in their face. You're just saying, from my perspective, I've done the research on it. I've studied on this. Here's my input on this particular subject.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same way because I've obviously taught high school, seems like forever. And if my husband has a question about, how to reach high school students, because I'm with them every day, I'm going to say, hey, I'm a great resource, talk about this. I'm qualified, quote unquote, to say X, Y, and Z, but I like what he's just saying. And I think we're all saying, I don't think it has to do with your degree per se. I think when someone does that, that's a different conversation that you're trying to, it's not even leveraging. You're just trying to put someone else down in some kind of form. You're trying to control whatever conversation you're having, saying, oh, I have a degree. Because just because you have a degree, and speaking from people that have degrees, that doesn't mean much.
And no people that have degrees. I'm like, we both in here? What does that say about me? We're both working at the same place.
That's hilarious.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think in any meaningful relationship, there's going to be mutual respect. There's going to be conversation. We're going to talk about things. We're going to get to the bottom of it. And I think that's a partnership. And I think, we submit one to each other.
Submitting to each other.
You know what I mean? And I think when we do that, as a friend put it to me, the byproduct will be submission because it will be a full circle.
That's a word right there.
Connectivity.
Byproduct.
So, so you guys.
That's a word?
Yeah, that's a word.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Do you have something else? I'm sorry. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. I just want to hear what submission means in Mandarin. How do we say it?
There's a few ways, but one of a basic way, they say 听话.
Oh,
听话.
I like it.
听 means listen. 话 means to speech. Or to some words.
So how would they say it in the entire phrase?
They say,
he had to straighten his voice for it.
Michael, 她能不能听话? I mean, like, can she listen to your, can she listen? Can she take direction?
Okay.
Ladies, that's
a definition of submission right there.
Yeah. Let's all think one to another.
Okay, right? Okay. Time, girl. One to another. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned.
Follow us on IG.
Bye, guys.
Yes.
Bye.
Ladies, thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining our show today, Mike.
All right.
This is a podcast presented by Captivating Women, LLC. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to you joining us next time.